Hi, my name is Alex and welcome to the Crochet Circle.
In today's video, I want to show you how to make a diagonal half of a granny square. So no, you don't make a granny square and take your scissors and cut it off, but you just adjust the pattern. Now I'm using the pattern with the smaller holes between the clusters of 3 double crochets, so my pattern will be probably somewhere up here, so for you to see. If you have any other patterns, or if you don't know how to reduce your pattern, you can leave me a comment below and I can definitely help you out. But this is my original granny square that's actually a square, and for my next project I actually need a half only of a granny square, but that half should be over the diagonal. So I kind of cut only the pattern in half and still made this beautiful half of a granny square. I think we can begin. So here are my granny squares, and now to do the diagonal half of a granny square, I have my colors here and I know in which order I need to do it, so you just take the colors that you want. So as you can see, I have just a little bit of the pink left, and I'm gonna start with a magic ring. In that magic ring I'm gonna do 4 double crochets. I'm gonna start with a chain of 3. This chain of 3 already counts as the first double crochet, and now I have to make 3 more. Altogether it's gonna be 4 double crochets. Now I have to do a chain 1 for the corner and another 4 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm gonna do another chain and cut the yarn, leaving just a bit of a tail to sew it in. Now I need to close up the magic ring, and the first row is done. Now the second row I'm gonna begin with the standing double crochet stitch. For a standing double crochet stitch, don't forget from behind twice around your crochet hook, and I'm gonna flip my work around, so I'm working on the back side now. So where my end tail is, I'm gonna work from that side, and I'm gonna go in between the 2 last stitches. So going in between the 2 last stitches, I'm just gonna start with a standing double crochet and do 3 more, so altogether it's 4 double crochets. Now in the chain 1 space of the previous row I need to do a corner. A corner is 3 double crochets, chain 1 and another 3 double crochets. So that's 2, 3, chain 1 and another 3 double crochets. Now the last stitch is between the chain 3 and the first double crochet of the previous round. So in that space between those 2 stitches I'm gonna make 4 double crochets. So that's 2, 3, and 4. Chain 1, and I can cut the yarn. Now I'm gonna be leaving the end tails for now, and I'm gonna sew them in at the end. So that's 2 rows done. Now I'm gonna turn the work around again, and where my end tail is, I'm gonna start with the next row. Again, a standing double crochet stitch. So I want my yarn to go from the back side to the front, and in between the first and the second double crochet of the previous stitch of the previous row, I'm making a standing double crochet and 3 more double crochets. So on the edges I have 4 double crochets. Now that's in between the 2 clusters. That means I'm gonna put in 3 double crochets. Now that's a corner stitch. In the corner, 3 double crochets, chain 1 and another 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and another 3 double crochets. Now that's in between stitches, I'm gonna do 3 double crochets. And this is now the last stitch. Between the standing double crochet and the first double crochet, I need to put in 4 double crochets. So 4 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Making a chain 1, and I can cut the yarn. And pulling the yarn through. So that's 3 rows done. Again, I'm gonna flip my work around, grabbing the next color. So the next color for me is green. And again, I'm gonna start with the standing double crochet. The yarn goes from behind to the back. Again, I just put my yarn, I kind of have a tension between my fingers, and I go on from the top in the yarn and just put it twice around my hook. And as you can see, the starting tail is in the back. I hold it. Now I go between the last and one before last stitch of the previous row. I go in with my hook and do 4 double crochets, where the first double crochet is actually a standing double crochet. So that's the standing double crochet, and I need to do 3 more double crochets. Now I have 2 clusters of in between stitches. In each one I'm just gonna do 3 double crochets. In the next one, 3 double crochets. Now this is the corner stitch. In the chain 1 of the previous row, I have to do 3 double crochets, chain 1 and another 3 double crochets. That is the corner that I have to do. Now I have another 2 spaces of clusters of 3, so in between those I just do 3 double crochets, and another cluster of 3 double crochets. And now this is the last stitch. That means between the standing double crochet and the first double crochet I need to go in with my crochet hook and do 4 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4, chain 1 and cut the yarn. I'm not left-handed, so I have no idea why I'm doing that with the left hand. Okay, now I can pull the yarn through. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows done. Now I'm gonna go for my last row. That's gonna be done in blue. Again, I'm turning the work around. If you didn't turn your work around when you were doing your normal granny squares, you don't have to turn the work around. But because I've been doing it on my normal granny squares, I have to do it here as well. So first, I'm preparing my needle with the standing double crochet. I'm holding it tight and I'm going in between the last 2 stitches of the previous row, grabbing the yarn, pulling it through 2 hoops and then through 2 hoops again, and I have a standing double crochet. Now I need 3 more, so that's 1, 2, 3. Altogether there are 4 double crochets here. Now I have 1, 2, 3 spaces for the clusters of 3 double crochets, so that's the first one. Just do 3 double crochets, and the next one 3 double crochets there as well, and the next one 3 double crochets. Now I'm at the corner stitch. In the corner stitch it's 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1 and another 3 double crochets. That's all done in the chain 1 of the previous row. Now I have 1, 2, 3 spaces of clusters of 3 double crochets, so just doing 3 double crochets in each space. Now that's the last one, and the last stitch is just 4 double crochets, and I have to put it between the standing double crochet and the normal double crochet of the previous row. I just go in between the 2 stitches with my needle and just do 4 double crochets there. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4, chain 1, and I can cut the yarn. Again, wrong hand for me, and pulling the yarn through. So that was fun, and that was really fast. Now for the not so fun part. Yes, I have my needle, so I have to get rid of all the loose ends. I'm gonna start with the most outer one. And you just have to work the end tail in. So how I'm doing that is I'm gonna go down the stitch and through that cluster of 4 to the last stitch, and on the last stitch I'm gonna go up the stitch, over to the next cluster, down, and through, and up the last stitch there, and into the next one, and down the stitch. Once I've done that, I can grab my scissors and cut the yarn. And now I have to repeat that quite a few times, so getting rid of all the loose ends is very important. Now, this is the best way for me. If you have any other ways how to get rid of all the loose ends, please do let me know. But for me, this is secured enough. So what are you gonna be doing with this diagonal half of a granny square? I already told you I need it for my coin purse. That's why I also made a bit of a change with the pattern, because I'm not using the chain ones between the clusters of 3, and I have only one chain in the corner, because I want my granny square to be really tight without any big holes, because I want to make a coin purse and I don't want my coins to fall out. So I'm going down the stitch. This is always so much fun getting rid of all those loose ends. But I think in this case it's much easier to do it at the end. If I would be doing a normal granny square, that's actually a granny square, that is actually a square, not just a triangle like here, I would definitely be getting rid of the loose ends as I go in each row, but here it's much easier to do it at the end, because I have much more space to hide my loose ends. And of course, don't throw away all your scrap yarn, because you can definitely use it for stuffing your amigurumis. Why waste this thing? Because it can be hidden into your work, and it's actually, because it's hidden inside, no one will know, and you can save some of your filling, polyfill that you are using for stuffing your animals or some of your decoration. What I am thinking of is I have this jar where I'm putting all my scrap yarn loose ends in. I think that jar needs a makeover, so I think it needs like a nice tulip shape pattern that it's gonna look really amazing. I have already done and showed you how to make the tulips with the Easter egg basket. So this time I'm just gonna probably do it in a larger scale. And of course, just to show you how to adjust the pattern to make it work for bigger things. But not to forget, first I'm doing this coin purse that I want to finish, and I promised myself that this coin purse is actually gonna be my coin purse. I'm not giving it away to anyone. Some things I think I can keep. Okay, this is the last one on one side, and then I have to go to the other side. As you can see, I'm going down the stitch and then around. Now this is from the... Actually no, I am gonna hide it in a bit, even though it's from the magic ring and it's not gonna shift anywhere. I still wanna hide it just a little bit. Okay, I think that's enough. And the last three one, so I think this hiding with all the loose ends takes almost the same amount of time as crocheting. And I know that I'm not the only one who doesn't like it, but it has to be done. I'm going up the stitch into the next stitch, down the stitch. Now if you need more rows, just continue with this diagonal half of a granny square just to the desired length that you want to have it. But for my project here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows or 5 rounds, whatever you want to call it. And that's because that's the size of the granny squares that I made for all the rest of them. But a granny square can actually go into infinity, so the more rows you make, the larger a granny square will be, and you can actually make a granny square blanket from just one granny square going into rounds, a lot of rounds to be honest. Or you can make several smaller granny squares and then join them. Now how to join the granny squares I'm gonna show you in the next video, where I'm gonna show you how to do the zigzag stitch between the two granny squares. It is one of my favorite ways how to join granny squares, so I'm gonna show it to you. Now this is one more and then I'm gonna be done, and then I can prepare myself for joining the granny squares into the coin purse. So another little project that I'm working on. I have some green yarn. loose ends here because that was the yarn that I wasn't able to cut nicely because I was using the wrong hand. So it was completely my fault. And this is gonna be the last stitch, cutting the yarn, and that's it. Now this is diagonal half of a granny square. So you don't have to cut it in half, you can just make your half of a granny square. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget, until the next time, I'm gonna say happy crafting!